don't know at what point we decided that it was episode 13. It's not. It's 14. Enjoy episode 14 and ignore us idiots saying that it's 13. It's episode 14.
And learning what we can and sticking to the man. Oh, I am Blockhead.
Blockhead Nation, this is episode 14. Let's go.
Blockhead
Nation, let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to Blockhead Nation Podcast, episode 13. We are here with Chris Dieterich.
Yeah.
I think I said it right.
You got it right.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
We're trying this again. The last time we recorded, there was poop everywhere, and we won't get into specifics, but it was a shitty situation, to say the least.
Hell yeah.
And,
Yeah.
hopefully down
the studio, you could say, went down the toilet.
It was rough when we first got
It was
there.
a shit show.
Yeah, when we first got there, dude, it was rough because we came in there, dude, and the look on Rudy's face was like, fuck.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, fuck.
He
Oh,
looked at this
man.
with concern.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
We're like, what's going on, Rudy? It was like,
We were like, hey, man.
How was it? Could you person it? Was it like?
You were like this. You turned around and you were like this.
like a deep sigh.
You did one of these, too, though. You were like...
Working with the little shot back.
Well, the best part is we actually still stayed with poop water all over the floor. And we pushed through, and then we recorded for about 20 minutes and had technical difficulties.
Yeah, so our studio is in Rudy's so Rudy has a property and we have a great studio in-law apartment that we've converted to a studio, and unfortunately there was some plumbing issues, but that was our first attempt, and we just turned it into a day of some beers and hanging out, eating good food. And
Speaking of that, I'd like to put this out there to any plumbers that would like to get their names out there, because I could use a break,
was very hot.
or a kickback on the type of money being spent. But this is not about me. This is about our friend Chris, and we're gonna talk about what Chris is as a being.
And what you needed was
As a being.
What you needed was a really good home inspector.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would have recommended that we do a
Dude,
sewer scope before purchasing the property in case there was any plumbing backup or problems.
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
So Chris, what's up? What's new? What's new in your life? What are you up to? Because that's one thing that we really want to talk to people about too.
Yeah.
It's what are you up to?
let
in
me provide a little context, a little background
Yeah.
here. So Chris is our I believe our fourth guest, third or fourth.
What's
guest.
the third of the friendship series?
Okay.
It's our 14th episode.
So it's finally good to have him here.
13th.
Chris is a really old friend of mine. More like a big brother. He's been a good friend of the family for a very long time. He's best friends with my older brother and friends with my older siblings. And very lucky to have him in my life. Good mentor, good guy all around. But he's here.
It's been a long time, right? Shit, I used to live at your house.
There was a time.
I consider your mom
There was a
a
time.
mom of mine.
You were in your early 20s.
Secondary mom. For
For
sure.
a little while. I was a junior in high school. That was a lot of fun. Chris is part of the family.
Yeah, she took me in when I was going through hard times. And it's actually probably where I met you. When you were hanging out over there with Kyle.
Yep.
And who were the
This was 2005, I think.
the twins too? The twins spent a lot of time there. Who were those?
Ryan and Joe. Kovacs? Oh no.
Oh, the Rivers.
The Rivers.
Johnny
Rivers. John.
Johnny Rivers was always hanging out. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
John and James.
Yep.
Yeah.
I went to college with James.
So I've known these guys forever. And
Burrows, Jeff Burrows very well.
I really enjoyed the episode you guys did with Jeff too.
Yeah.
He had a shirt.
I messaged I messaged him privately too.
Good.
About it because it was cool. It was cool to see him on there, dude. And I haven't seen him in so long.
With his long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Long hair, don't care.
He that episode started with him with his shirt off, smoking a cigarette.
with his long, beautiful hair.
The cigarette killed me.
He's such a hippie now.
He rolls his own.
He's been hippie for a while.
Yeah.
He's been hipping. For sure.
He's hipping.
He's always been.
You know what I really want to
hear?
hear, if you feel comfortable talking about it, Chris, is you bouncing at parties and just being an absolute badass, dude.
So it's funny. It's funny to segue to that.
I want to dive right into
So
I want to
he
tell
would,
you a story about Chris too.
Chris would take Burrows and I in the purple Pontiac. Now we referenced this last time. There's a car that we passed down in my family that Dave drove, our producer. I drove it. Our brother Josh drove it. Chris drove it for a while at one time.
Oh yeah.
It like went back to me. We would journey in this purple Pontiac to the Worthington house, the Wotown house.
Ah, that house, man.
And I've had the pleasure of being friends with Chris and some of those older guys. But yeah, we were Burroughs. Man, he would be piffing beers on the way there. And by the time we got there, he was out of commission. He was out of commission when we got there.
Just sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dude. The Wotown house was really awesome. It was basically like, you picture like the house party movies. This was just a house that like everybody went to. Everybody was chill there, and it started to get really big. Like there was a lot of people there every weekend, and we decided that we were gonna do like kind of like we had a group of people that ran the place, and then we were gonna be like quote unquote bouncers for the place, security, and whatnot, because we wanted to have a fun time. And not have like physical conflict, fighting, and all this nonsense up there.
And
so
when you have a party,
as always,
so we got our group. We had a
it started to grow.
We had a big group of friends, dude, and like
people from all over the county were congregating, right? So it was becoming.
Of all of our friends, we all got delegated our different stuff that we had to take care of, and we're going to be responsible for having the smooth party, safe party, and all that kind of stuff. And me and a couple of my friends were delegated as the security guards, and it did lead to a lot of situations that are funny now, but were not funny at the time.
Sure.
Can
you tell us what?
The one
You're talking specifically about the one.
Kyle's like, they're not funny. I didn't like them at all.
Donnie's talking about the one I told him about last time when we were having beers at the bar after the last.
These are the kind of conversations we gotta dive into.
Yeah.
So what happened? Run us through like the progression of it. Please.
So we were having a beer pong tournament that night, and we had a lot of we had built like all these beer pong tables, and the basement was a very empty space, and we were having party down there, and I was on a good run.
Everyone was over 21.
Yeah, I was on a good run in beer pong, and I was in the middle of like one of my playoff games, and then one of my security guards and my partner came in and was like, "Hey." He's like, "Hey, dude, there's a guy outside. There's a kid outside swinging his stick around, and he's threatening to hit everybody with his stick." And I was like, "Dude, I don't have time to like deal with this. I'm in the middle of this beer pong game. Just handle it." Well, couldn't get handled.
How many people would you say were probably at the party at this time?
Probably anywhere from like 70 to 100 people were up there. It was a big party.
It's big for the place.
It's crazy how this party used to go down.
I think I went there once.
I mean, we were outside.
It was in Worthington. It was in the middle of nowhere.
The party was in the basement mostly, and then like there was like fire pit and stuff outside, and it was right on a river, so people would hang out down by the river and stuff. It was pretty cool. So I finally go outside. I'm gonna try and diffuse the situation. I'm kind of annoyed that I had to come out and deal with it to begin with because I was having fun downstairs. But I walk outside, and there's a guy swinging a stick around with like probably 30 people around him, and he's like swinging around all at him, and I was like, let's walk up to him, and as I walked up to him, he baseball bat like swung the stick, and he hit me here in my ribs, and I caught the stick and punched his face, and
I'm sure you wanted to de-escalate it. I'm sure
but then you got hit by a stick.
I was gonna go up and maybe try and like I was gonna physically take the stick from him.
Oh man, yeah.
Just take the stick.
Just hand over the stick, man.
He hit me with the stick, punched him in the face. He keels over back, and he comes right up and put a gun like right here to my face.
Jeez.
And it's so crazy. Like I could talk about the story, and it was a life-threatening situation. And I grabbed the gun, just grabbed it from his hand, twisted it out of his hand, and threw the gun into the river that was over on the other side of us. And then
we got to zoom in on that.
I did beat him up pretty badly after this. I believe he got pistol whipped with the pistol before it was thrown. Escorted him to his car and ejected him and his friends from the party, never to return, because we don't deal with that shit.
So badass.
We don't deal with that shit at these places.
It's something out of a movie. And,
it
really is.
There was a lot of stuff.
The parties out of the movie, and then like that story.
You don't.
Make this stuff
Thank you, Chris. Yeah. That is the craziest story. That has come on this podcast.
It's a story I talk about. I try not to talk about it.
Right. When that happens and you react, right? Because it's fight or flight in that moment.
Absolutely.
And you don't. It's not like you premeditate. Like I'm gonna take the gun.
It's not like you practiced out of high school, like, you know.
Yeah, sure. It sounds
taking
like
guns
super
from people.
badass, but I was actually terrified.
Yeah,
during
that
the
is
whole-
scary
during
as
the whole
hell.
thing.
I can only
It was,
imagine the adrenaline.
it was
and
rough.
just
I mean, it was a big risk.
brute
too, you know what I mean?
testosterone running through your body at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
dude.
that's-
I felt like I was.
Can you,
I felt like,
can you,
I felt like I was
can you-
moving like the Flash.
You
dude.
insert some
Yeah,
testosterone
Like,
over-
I was like, "You fucking put a gun to me," you know, like I'll fucking kill you, you know.
Makes you very angry.
I mean, I was definitely.
But you know what I want to hear though? Did you go back in and win the beer pong thing? Because we went in and won the beer pong
Listen, I was
tournament.
too
and
busy
just,
trying to,
this-
like,
you
I
might
was
have
too
just
busy.
floated into like.
I was too busy trying to like fend the women off me.
Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine, bro.
So funny.
Because it was,
it's so
it was
good.
pretty
I
ridiculous.
mean, yeah, I mean, this,
Oh.
that's
Did you
just
fucking see what that guy just did?
yeah.
I'm like, you know,
You're like, you're like,
You must have been getting layups for like 3 years after
it was
that. I mean,
ridiculous.
you know, you're 23.
It was a good time.
You're 23, no responsibilities, like, you know.
That place was awesome, man. You know, I look back on like the times when we were younger, and that really was like a highlight. Aside from all that nonsense, I mean, we had a lot of times up there where we were just hanging out because we like to hang out in the woods, and
Hacky sack,
fucking
playing
like
hacky sack and
just
stuff.
bonfires and stuff.
You guys want to hear my most badass party story?
Yeah, let's go.
So we were in Adams one time at a house party, and the cops came, like usual, because it was like right in the middle of a residential neighborhood. And I run out the back door, and I pick up like my 12-pack of Coors Light, and there's like probably 6 or 7 left, so they're jingling. And I'm running out into this field. I'm running out into this field, right? And I see my buddy, and I'm like, oh, John. I'm like, John Patton. He's like, follow me. So I'm running through this field with like 7 Coors Lights, and I run right into a barbed wire fence. It rips my shorts all the way down, cuts like my leg open. I like trip, fall, save the beers, roll, keep running. We like come out on this dirt road, and then my buddy, I think it was my buddy Sean Derby, picks us up, and then we go the back way from Adams to North Adams. Lo and behold, they have a road stop because they knew there was a party going on, like a road block by the cops or whatever you call it. And a bunch of my friends got DUIs that night, and then we ended up going the opposite way. There's only 2 ways back to North Adams. I don't know why they didn't just set up 2, but thank God. And we got back, and then we heard, a bunch of our friends got arrested and stuff the next day. But yeah, so like that's my most badass story is that I just got beat up by a barbed wire fence, and Chris,
you made it out.
basically de-arms people.
Listen, it wasn't even.
I almost de-legged myself.
That was the scariest one, but I mean, there was a lot of people because the parties got so big up there. Like the person who like owned the house was like selling tickets to people, like pre-selling tickets. We had a day up there. We had like 6, 7 live bands, and we had like a big thing going on. And there was a lot of times where we had
that gun's gonna keep going.
Pittsfield people would come up.
Yeah, sure.
That's where we would.
That's when the issues happen.
Yeah, that's actually
nothing against Pittsfield, but when the Pittsfield and the Hinsdale kids at the 23 to 27 range mix, it's a little hairy.
That had to be back in like 2006 or something, 2007.
Yeah.
Very long time
we were
ago.
there partying there for many, many years. It was good times.
Yeah, those days are over for us now.
Well, you want to hear my crazy story? And it actually doesn't really include me, but it does include Burroughs.
Nice.
We can talk about it on here.
Yeah.
I Burroughs, I don't think he would care too much about this one because it's really badass. And so we're down at Winnick. We're in my my duplex that we rented with like 8 football guys, and we're having a party. I think it was right after.
It was before he deployed to the Marines.
Yeah, it was right before he deployed to the Marines, but it was
the day before. It was the night before.
Yeah.
The night before
I
was not at this party actually.
Yeah, Kyle had been to a couple of Winnick parties. They were fun. But at this particular party, it was Jeff's send-off party. I forget the exact time of year it was, but it was sort of warm. And
it had to have been.
And we got we had a big thing at Smash House, we call it. And my buddy Bailey, my roommate, he comes up to me. He's like, "Rudy, Burroughs just jumped off the back porch," and there's a 2-story porch and then almost a 4-story porch.
Yep.
And we're on the 4th story, and I look down, and Jeff is laying on the ground going, huh. I'm sorry because it was very scary at the time, but he was going, huh, huh. And you know what was worse is my younger sisters were there, just good friends from my hometown and Winnick were there. And we go down there, he's living. Somebody's like, we're calling the police. I was like, yeah, we got to call the police. This is not good. Ambulance comes, picks him up, and somehow he was able to be deployed at around 7:30 in the morning that next day, dude.
No broken bones, nothing.
That is the craziest probably party story that I have ever encountered.
The way it was explained to me was he was hanging from the porch with his hands.
Who said that?
I don't know. Somebody told me that he was like dangling. And then he let go and fell.
Like right on
Bailey said.
Yeah. How high was it?
Bailey said that it was it's probably 40 feet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long drop.
Yeah.
That's
like a double stack like porches, dude.
It's double stacked,
That's
and
so
there was a
crazy.
basement level.
Yeah,
that
crazy.
was walkout.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Wow. All right, I have one more good one. Sorry.
I just want to say the only issue that Jeff has mentioned is that he has a little bit of lower back issue, but he did his service and
rolling in the boot camp after that.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
not fun. My back hurts, and I was just playing basketball.
He landed straight out his feet
crazy.
and like compressed his spine, dude.
he must. We were pretty
like
far along. So.
Who the hell
Disc
knows?
or something like that.
I love Rudy's depiction of just and he's laying there. You just hear, yeah,
Like I just fell
it
off.
was literally like
so frightening.
like the wind got knocked.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
It's really when you. I mean, it's so dangerous. Parties are
Just
just
so dangerous.
parties
You
are bad
okay?
news. Really, they can be bad news, and
Yeah, we had some good runs, but it gets crazy.
you take risks
It
when you're
does.
younger. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so my buddy, this one's really quick. My buddy James, speaking of jumping off porches, that's what cued it in for me. I won't say his last name, but he'll be on the podcast. Cops come to a party where he's from, right? Like down in like Dartmouth area in Massachusetts, and the cops come. He jumps off a porch. He's running away. He thinks he's getting away, right? Out of nowhere, behind a tree, a cop just spears him through a fence.
Oh my!
Just the whole fence gets destroyed, right? He gets arrested. He has to pay for the person to get an entirely new fence. He had to work. He had to work at like somewhere for the entire summer to like pay off the person's fence because the cop just came out of nowhere and just.
Hey, it was the
speared.
cop's fault.
I mean, right.
He never would have gone into that fence.
On Amazon Music.
Oh hey.
Alexa, quit it.
Alexa, what are you doing?
I know. But yeah, the party stories. I mean, we could go on all day about that.
She wants to
stuff.
play adventure
I mean,
music
totally.
about these stories.
We
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we should
That'd be
do
awesome.
background. This one time.
Man, the anxiety that can make you feel.
Is that,
You never got in trouble with the police, did you?
it's the the gun's going off and Alexa's playing music.
Yeah, we'll just have to take a break here for a second. I don't know if we should
It's so
just
good.
throw the gun up the stairs. Yeah, it keeps going off.
It's right behind me. It's underneath the trampoline.
It's like charging up.
It doesn't shut off. Is
It goes off.
there even a
Blast a
button
hole in
on
the
it?
wall.
I don't think there's a button on it.
Is Alexa okay? Is she okay?
She's good.
Don't say the name.
I know.
Don't say the name.
Is you know who she's watching?
She's always watching.
Always
listening.
Okay,
watching,
you know what?
judging.
I'm gonna tell one more stupid story, and then we're gonna talk about Chris because I'm ridiculous. But speaking of Alexa, my buddy, and this would be a great story probably for him to come on here. It'd be way funnier, but he's in his house, right, and he hears hello, Tyler, and he's like, and it's his ex-girlfriend's voice. And he's like, hello? And he's like, get out of my house. Like, what are you doing here? Like, what's going on? He's like looking around. She's like, I'm over here. She's like, I'm talking to the Alexa. He goes, what? He's like, what are you talking? He's like, what are you doing? She's like, I just want the. He literally unplugged the thing and like smashed it, dude. She literally, because it was logged into her account. It was still logged into her account. She could somehow listen to him and was like, he's like, I don't even know if she like was like listening to me for how long. She literally tried to talk to him through the Alexa. In his house, you think about just somebody talking to you.
Yeah,
you didn't want to be around, and you think they're in your house. It's insane, dude.
That is crazy. Dude.
Technology is insane. Like they say, you can shut off like your diction or whatever of your phone, but dude, it listens to you 24/7. It collects all this information on you.
You asked me if I ever been in trouble with the police.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's talk about that.
I'll go into this.
I actually,
I said I was gonna be quick. Whatever, dude.
I have one story. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna jinx myself. I don't think so, man. I've never. I think once.
Oh, I got another story.
That's funny because
Just go ahead.
I just talking stories.
No, but I remember one time you and I were on our way to a St. Patrick's Day party.
Dude, this was so crazy too.
And we left Mom's, and I was with all my older brother's friends and Chris, trusted individuals, and we're on our way through Hinsdale and Windsor or whatever, and just listening to music and talking, and we see this truck, this like Toyota, I don't know, pickup truck.
Yeah.
Comes barreling down the road with like 5 people in the back, like with their shirts off, and like they're like, woo, yeah, they got like a flag, and there's like a case of beer on somebody's shoulder, like comes ripping by, and Chris, we like chuckle, and then not even like 30 seconds later, you just
pulled over. Dude.
You see the flashing blues, you just hear whoop whoop.
They'll pull this over.
Pulled us over. Dead sober.
Yeah. I was too.
What are you boys doing tonight?
We haven't done anything yet.
You have anything to drink? Or like, dude, did you just not see? The pickup truck full of people, man.
30 fucking people.
What was that?
It smells like Axe in here. And I don't know, we have no beer on us. Like what do you?
Dude, he pulled me out of the car. Remember, he had me get out of the car. I had to do a sobriety test.
Yeah.
He did not believe me at all. Yeah. And I don't know, man. It was cold. It was around St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, it was cold. So I was like, I didn't have my coat on. I got out. It's like, he's like, why are you shaking? So
yeah. So why are you shaking?
It's fucking freezing out here.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm cold right now. Like, I don't know what you want me to do.
Was,
I was like, I can't do the alphabet backwards so I can save my life.
Yeah, he was looking for any reason to get us in trouble.
That was ridiculous.
But that was ridiculous.
That was mild.
That's
That's mild as far as cops go.
Yeah, like I've been in trouble actually quite a few times. Like, I don't want to tell every story, but
it's not a great topic. We can shift gears, but I don't know. That's that story about you bouncing, man. I know you've got a few of them.
It's insane.
Yeah, it is. That's when you're youthful.
There was a lot of those problems up there, though.
In America, that's like a man's rite of passage just to live those moments. And
yeah,
I don't know if I just saw any of that shit now. I would fucking turn tail and run.
Sure.
I would not be part of that at all.
Yeah, well, it's
world.
legendary in the moment because we talk about it 14, 15 years later. Same thing with the Burroughs thing. People ask me.
There was 17 or 70 to 100 people there, and they're still talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just we live in a world now where you can go to a bar, and this has been happening frequently. You go out to a bar in Pittsfield, and people are getting shot right outside of Methuselah. And
it's crazy.
Scary.
It's ridiculous.
That's insane.
Nobody fights. Nobody fights anymore.
Sure.
No, it's always guns.
There's no reason to, anyways.
No fair fights.
Oh man, if I'm running away. If there's something going down,
fuck this.
Bye.
Thinking of being older and stuff, I promised Gina I would tell this story, and it relates.
Nice.
So I'm going to say it. Last night we.
Hey guys, Ryan's going to tell a story.
Yeah. So no, we leave her aunt's Christmas party, right? Annual Christmas party, and I end up missing the exit because I think I know where I'm going and I don't. So I have to go and turn around, and there's a red light, and I don't want to wait for it to turn, so I just rip a U-turn, and of course there's a cop right there. So he throws on the flashers. I'm like, here we go. I'm like, I'm going to get like a $200 ticket. So he turns on his flashers, gets behind me, then he gets to the side of me, and he shuts them off, and I'm like, what the? So he pulls up next to me, and I'm like about to take a right, like a yield sign, and he looks at me, and he's like, no, and I'm like, he's like, nope, you're good, and he just pulled away. I'm like, oh my,
what a
like,
guy, dude.
That's the things that would happen. I had like 2 Bud Lights when I was there, but it's like for sure if I had like 6 or 7 Bud Lights, like I was not getting the no.
That's awesome.
But it was
even
really
if
cool.
You had 2, man. Even if you had a couple, it's like then it's on your breath a little.
I know you're just like, oh great. I'm like, here we go. You
been drinking tonight?
I only had 2, officer. When really you did, and he's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you said 2. That means 24.
Yeah.
I wish I saw the mustache because I would have been like, he just saw the mustache and was like, you're good. Get out of here.
He's like
one of us.
Off duty, Stady. Oh, he's off duty.
He's looking good.
I just give him the head nod. That was
my way back.
That was
he should have been like,
just like he looks at me. He's like, that'd be a good skit, and then just pulls away.
That mustache is that's great.
Just gives me the head nod or whatever.
Oh, jeez.
But so Rudy's been coming out with some really good videos about crypto, and I'm very proud of him. I want him to do his music as well.
I gotta do my music.
Yeah.
I love music.
We were just talking about the music before.
And you're into the crypto as well, right?
I used to be involved in it pretty heavily. Not so much anymore. Focusing more on like career stuff, but I have been looking at like XRP. XRP is supposed to go up.
XRP's
I
on a
got
run.
Did you get in?
It's
What'd
on
you get
a,
in
it's
at?
on a,
like $2.40.
$2.40.
It was my buddies were telling me when we were golfing to buy it at 40 cents, and I'm like,
yeah, I made a lot of money off XRP before because there was all that stuff going on with them, and I bought it at maybe like 20 cents, and then I sold it. I sold it at 2.30, and that was fucking years ago.
Yeah. Now it's back on.
Yeah, now it's back up, and it's. I mean,
they say it could go to $4 or $5.
Yeah, everyone's saying it's going to go up that high. So
well, it's won its case against the SEC, and you know, it's free to trade now.
Man, they've been in that case for a long time.
It has got like on a real base level, when there's money available or liquid cash available, crypto goes up because people want to put it somewhere.
So the more debt, because there aren't people like at an all-time high in debt, but there's also a lot of cash floating around with like sectors of the population.
Well, as far as like the boomers getting older, right? That's the richest generation, and they have substantial retirement funds, and it's free money. Like, you know,
it's just there. It's just been sitting in whatever,
to access. So when booms happen, or you know, there's a big spike, you know, they'll free up that money, or like a big spike in terms of like market sentiment. Like people are like, oh, okay, Bitcoin just went to 75,000. Okay, time to get in right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people buying.
So they'll take out of their retirements or, you know, whatever funds they have available, and they'll put it into it. And that's the investing class. And I think our generation is going to get there too. But, yeah, we're all in debt right now, like you're saying.
But like, you know, what's really cool though? I was reading an article. There's companies that are buying like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin because they want it to be a reserve currency.
Right.
And now the new guy of the SEC or whatever is a crypto-friendly guy.
Yep.
So there's some serious changes that are going to happen, guys. We forecast, we tell you what we think. You know, we don't tell you what to do or anything like that. But
not investment, it's really real education.
It's just education.
You almost have to say that.
I always
but it's you know, do your own research. But there's definitely opportunities. We can't predict the future, but we can tell you those opportunities are out there and try to find them yourself, because we're all trying to get into something with it. And on top of that, I'm happy you mentioned the baby boomers, Rudy, because speaking of giving tidbits of advice, I was also reading. Don't read much, but you know, I try to read important
when
stuff.
I can.
Comic books.
No, but there's speaking of the baby boomers, you know, passing away, selling their properties, whatever. They also have a lot of small businesses, right? Hundreds of thousands of small businesses that are going to be just a lot of them are dissolved. And if you can find the right small businesses with a good cash flow, there's a huge opportunity for our generation to buy these businesses and really make money in just a real, honest, humble way. And that's something that I've really been starting to dive into and see if there is an equitable business to purchase.
Yeah.
Whether it's a, you know, home inspection company. I was looking at like sheetrock companies, you know, construction companies, laundromats, whatever it may be. There is that's going to be there. And there's a lot of people that would just dissolve their company. They don't have anybody to give it to or whatever. They don't really feel like trying to sell it or whatever. But if you can find those people, a lot of those people worked hard and they had a business their whole life. And if you approach them and you structure a deal in a good way that makes sense for everybody, a fair way, I think that there's, you know, they would love to see that legacy go on. And that's something that I'm really queuing in on. And I think that that's going to also, on top of some of the currency and crypto and market stuff, I think there's a massive opportunity with trying to, you know, that wealth distribution and making sure that it comes over to, you know.
What was the website that you told me about that shows?
Snacks.
So
Snacks is awesome. It's like basically like a newsletter. You get it like every few days. I get it to my email and I'll like read it in the morning. It comes really early and it will give like what's going on in the stock market, how to buy in early on shares when they're still private before they go public. And it gives, you know, information about the market, you know, baby boomers and just different financial advice. And it's only 4 or 5 paragraphs, and each paragraph has like a link where you can extrapolate on that certain topic if you want to learn more about it. So it just kind of gives me ideas of what I'm interested in and what I want to move in. Because when you make these moves, right, you have to be kind of interested into it. So like go into something that you're interested. Rudy obviously created his own NFT. It's Blockhead Nation NFT. That's how this all started, by the way. And he's really interested in it, so it's something that he can continue to pursue. If you like the regular stock market more, that's why I mentioned the small business thing, because that if you like business or you think you want to run your own business, there might be some opportunities out there. You just got to keep your eyes peeled. And I personally think that there's a better opportunity for the average person who doesn't want to study crypto stuff all day or doesn't understand it to buy a laundromat or something, opposed to going into that world and keep
but
it.
Even if they had the idea that they were going to go into something like crypto, they can it's cool that there's resources like that people can go to just to get a quick education on what's going on, and then decide if they want to move forward in a specific area, and buy into an established business that's already there is always a good idea too.
Something about that, right? So it's it's something that anybody can do, and what I always go back to is what am I built, what am I good at, right? Like me, for instance, I wouldn't be really good at running a sheetrock business. I mean, just the scheduling, I'm a bad planner, I suppose, but whatever, like a construction business, I don't have the know-how.
Yeah.
Right. So, but maybe
car wash,
right? Something simple.
I hear they're pretty profitable.
Yeah, right.
Laundromats and car washes and stuff. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
So
you got to identify what's going to have a continued need.
And you really sort of want to be passionate about it, honestly.
I think the struggle with
that's a big part of it.
A lot of businesses that older generations have had, like turnkey, now with the changing world, and it's I guess always been true, but some services and businesses just aren't going to be able to keep up with the changing world because of the way newer technologies get developed, or for example, you see shopping malls and strip malls,
retail stuff
are retail. They're
the past.
They're disintegrating, because everything is online. You have delivery. This isn't like rocket science, but
that's a really good point.
It is interesting though how the older generation does have a lot of that wealth. I think the big variable is they're buying their homes when they were 200% cheaper.
Yeah.
And
it's a huge thing. Yeah, it helped that
the world was just in such a different economic state for those generations, and it's sad. It's harder now, and it's harder for our generation for sure. It's not the same.
I think you made a really good point there, Kyle, because some of these businesses are dying. So
they're dying for a reason, because they're just
retail is not,
the money's not there.
Yeah, it's not there, but. When I'm thinking about this, just personally, like I said, do your own research. But something like a laundromat, people need to physically wash their lawn. Healthcare is great because healthcare needs to be here, right? Like senior services, ride stuff. I know people who set up little ride shares, and they basically get paid directly from the insurance to bring senior citizens places or something like that through Mass Health. So something like construction, healthcare, a laundromat. That unless some crazy technology comes out, that can't really be outsourced.
Car washes.
That's something that that's a physical necessity, and that's kind of where I try to aim my focus.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah,
so that's why I buy some real estate. I just also want to say, last thing on this is, all of those things are going to be great, and those businesses are going to run, regardless the currency. But I think we're going to start realizing the benefits as a populace, as a global populace. And I think, for instance, I'm going to have to spend a lot of money to get that line out completed at the house because of the backflow issue. Traditional way to get it is through a loan or wire transfer, right? If I was to resort to a crypto transfer, it would take seconds.
Yeah.
But now I have to go through a process, and it's just that type of mindset and that type of convenience is really going to drive it, honestly.
Well, it's
when people start using it.
It's like the cash discount thing. It's like a notorious thing with restaurants and contractors. Yeah. You get a 15% cash discount just to give them cash, right?
Right.
Because people don't operate that much in cash anymore. What I'm curious about, and I'm not trying to allude to anything, but if you can transfer crypto and give a discount on it, it's kind of like it's on its own ledger and it's separated at this point. It'll probably be more interlocked with our actual currency as the years progress. But it's really an interesting thing that if you can set up a business and then get paid through crypto, it's a great way for you to also get stuff, and then it's a separate place for you to store your cash and even pay people as well if you need to. Pay vendors and other people. So I love that idea of things as well. And it kind of keeps it's like having, cash is king. It's that separate entity
and it's
that.
very easy to access.
Wasn't there a crypto that was like linked to like the value of the US dollar at some point? Like it was like the same.
Yeah, USDC and Tether are
Tether is the one. Tether is the one I was thinking of.
Dollar based and
bad time to be linked to the US dollar. Honestly.
Well, yeah. I mean, but you're not going to go up or down when you put it into those accounts. Tether's proven itself as over time to be pretty reliable. There were other like the Celsius peg.
But is the U.S. dollar not losing value? I mean, it's losing a ton of value. It's been
inflation and everything like that. It's
I mean, globally, the world economies and you get the BRICS nations that are looking to just strong arm the dollar out of the global stage.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary stuff.
Yeah.
Because you have well over 100 countries. I don't know how many exactly. A lot though.
There's the three powerhouses, but there's a lot of countries that are involved in it.
Yeah, well, the dollar is the petrodollar, right? Now, I mean, we went off the gold reserve. We at one time we used to be a proper nation. Our dollar was strictly based on
off of something.
We were based on the gold. Our gold store up or whatever, and then the gold vanished. Some papers got signed, a president did something, and
it's all in Fort Knox, man.
Yeah. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Some say it's empty.
Yeah.
Some say it's empty, and it's just all numbers, and there's no actual physical gold.
But now it's linked to oil. I don't know.
China. I don't know if you guys saw this. China's found like something like close to $1 trillion worth of gold.
I saw that.
It costs like $200 billion to mine or something. But all the more reason for the U.S. to say, "Hey, we're not doing anything with gold anymore."
Yeah.
And this debt thing that we keep doing, it's not working that well. Let's get some Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, it's a great. I mean, there was in the beginning in its infancy, they tried to set it up with actual nations. I was watching a documentary about it or whatever, but not to take a complete U-turn.
Yeah.
No pun intended. It's not even funny at all.
The story, yeah.
But I don't even know.
I got another story to tell.
I tried to make a joke. I know what I was going to say. What the hell do you guys do during the winter? Because seasonal depression's a real thing, and it fucking.
We'd like to take this time to talk about men's mental health and seasonal
depression. We do. No, I want to take that story because you guys were talking about that last night, though, right? It's like there's something in the winter where it's getting dark at 4:30. Hope when December whatever it'll start getting lighter again, but. I don't really ski. I've gone a few times. I'm petrified of getting injured skiing.
Yeah.
But I try to join a few basketball leagues. Me and Rudy played this morning. It was really fun. What are good things to turn to during the winter, to try to avoid that and the dark?
I used to really be someone who always spoke about having seasonal depression because I dreaded the wintertime and I loved the sunshine. And but I think as I got older, I shifted because I just kind of. I'm in a different routine now.
Life beat him up.
I got my nice, I got a nice place. I have my daughter, and I'm in a routine. But boxing for me, I'm training after work, so that keeps me going. And then I'm cooking at night, and then I'm just enjoying the coziness of a warm place as it's snowing outside. It's just kind of a book. Yeah. Really, it's kind of just. It's one of those things you don't want to give power to, which Chris was talking to me about actually on the way here. It's like. You can't beat yourself up and live in the negative. Yeah. Right? So you guys have opportunities to work out and
just whatever
you actually have quite a bit.
But Kyle, what great thoughts?
That's the thing you got to get into something though.
Just the image, visualization of a nice cozy couch with a fireplace.
Good lighting. Yeah, good lighting and
maybe a cup of tea.
Oh yeah, I bought tea.
Yeah, I love tea. Yeah.
Yeah. A friend of mine she and I had tea. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah,
that's surprise.
Yeah, it was a lady.
We're all trying to go with it though, like
not a Keurig
with visualizations like that.
We're killing Dave over here. Not to be super preachy, but it's just like churning the things in the winter. There's not as much outdoor activity, so boxing, going to the gym, doing skiing, whatever it is. But there's a lot of things. And I was listening to a Joe Rogan episode recently. I think he had Scott Storch on. It was actually a really good episode because that guy's amazing. And they both grew up in the Northeast, and they're like. There's something about growing up in the Northeast that just kind of gets you a little bit more prepared for life because you have to go out and shovel your driveway. You have to scrape off your car. It gets to 0 degrees. Never mind the people like in North Alberta and like Canada. I mean, it builds a little bit of character, I think, into you to live up here. And sometimes you just go outside and it's like, it's invigorating.
It's those little things, man.
Embrace it. Yeah.
He was just talking about
embracing. Hey, you know, we live here, and like the settlers lived here, and this is who we are as people. Like, this is where we live, and let's embrace it, and, you know, build
it's
character
really,
off of it.
It's really awesome to get the 4 seasons.
Well, I want Chris to speak.
So
to this.
one of the biggest things that people who are suffering from depression deal with on a daily basis, whether it be seasonal depression or regular depression, is they don't have the ability to like give themselves credit for small successes and or any successes in general, but something like going outside and like shoveling a driveway for someone who is dealing with like clinical depression and getting something done should be considered a great success for someone who's going through like and dealing with that kind of depression. And it doesn't happen very often. And I was talking about it, like you said, with Kyle about it this on the way here. Actually, we were talking about it and how it's not only, you know, not a lot of people hear from other people that they're doing a good job, or that they're, you know, keep doing what you're doing, or like someone's proud of you and stuff like that. And people with depression,
that's not the way of the world.
It's not. It's
unfortunate.
Well, it's who you surround yourself with.
And we were saying also, like, you know, that if, you know, when someone's kind to you, it's almost confusing to somebody because they're not used to that kind of thing anymore, which is sad to actually think about.
Yeah, people like almost look at you like, you know, you got 2 heads. Like, what did you just fucking say? Did you tell me I smell good?
You got a nice coat, dude. Or
yeah,
like, oh, you want to steal my coat? Yeah. No, dude, I don't want to steal your coat. It's just a nice coat. Like,
you've got a nice.
Have a good day.
You know, I really enjoy your laugh. I mean, I enjoy being around you, man. You got a good laugh. Someone's like
making fun of my laugh.
Yeah.
What's wrong with my fucking?
Are you gonna roofie me?
It's like
I'm gay, man.
Rudy. Not that there's anything wrong.
I love that, Chris. It's so important this is something that Jordan Peterson used to always say. Wake up in the morning, make your bed. I'm terrible at it, by the way. So
my mom is
that's why I gave the caveat. But those small little successes, you know, doing the dishes, shoveling the driveway. We talked about this on one of the early episodes.
If I may, Chris had referenced shoveling his driveway. So he's like, you know, I shovel. He's like,
actually was talking
it's just
about
funny. So Ryan, you really got us on this road, and it's so applicable because he was just saying, like, if you just do little things like get out and shovel this driveway, and, you know, I pulled up, it was nice and shoveled.
Yeah.
But just
you know what I didn't do today? Shovel my driveway.
I saw that. Yeah. I didn't say anything.
I just walked through with my nice shoes.
I probably did something else that was good.
But I'm sorry, Kyle.
No, go ahead.
One last thing here. So, you know, and that's sort of a
product
of living in the Northeast is, you know, 2 to 3 inches. I'm not going to shovel it. I don't care.
You going on about the shoveling?
I'm not going to freaking do it.
Quiet down over there.
Not going to do it.
I won't shovel.
He's self-conscious. He's self-conscious now.
Your son will be the one doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you know. Yes.
You got so much going on, man.
I got a lot going on. I was happy that I got to play basketball this morning. That, you know, so to your guys, and it's just important to get up and do something.
Yeah.
No, it is.
You know, and, you know, we've all gotten sick this winter already, right? So it's just like when that type of hit comes your way, that can further depress you, right? You know, geez, I can't do anything.
Well, yeah, but it just recently prevented me from going to visit Ryan, which I haven't done in so long, and he always jokes like, you know, when are you gonna come down to Boston?
Yeah, but you got to give yourself some grace there because, you know, your body's telling you something, and you really got to rest in those situations, and then when it comes, you know, just have that mentality. Things are going to get better, you know.
I think that's really good, and like the counterfactual of like getting up and just doing any little task, and it's like building momentum, right, for the day.
Sure.
But one thing that we referenced in one of the first podcasts is that there's little tasks that you put off. I had something like a medical bill go to like collections, and it was just sitting there forever. Yeah. And I finally figured out that I had like money on an FSA card. It's like
HSA,
a little
yep.
Oh, HSA, yeah, like a little like medical insurance. You put $10 a paycheck or whatever towards it, and I was able just to pay it off with that. I probably had that for like 3 years and didn't even use it. You know what I mean?
Didn't even know it was there.
So it was like, but like it's just like you don't. They're in your subconscious somewhere, but they're there because there's certain things you know you need to do, and sometimes taking care of those little like menial tasks or paying off a little bit of debt or just doing those little things that you've been putting off forever can really free up a lot of bandwidth. And I think it helps with my mental health and like pushing through because I'm like there's those little things that just kind of And if you have enough of those little things you keep putting off that you need to do, even if you don't think about them every day, it's harder to push forward.
There's a greater conversation to be had here, though. I don't want to lose it. And Chris and I were talking about, and he referenced it, was how people don't pick each other up in the world. And that's a really great topic to talk about because Chris and I are very similar. We have very similar morals. Yeah. Really, Chris is really, so it's great having him as a guest for the Friendship Series because Chris is somebody who's always given me great advice. You know, when you have friends that give you advice and they're not like, well, this is what I would do. It's like they talk to you, they hear you, they listen, and it feels so good. And I'm surrounded by people that have always done that. I think we've always done that for each other.
Yeah.
But we've always said, as much as we joke around and we are guys, like we do pick each other up. And Ryan and I have mentioned this, and Rudy, it's like a lot of people aren't like this where you're just going to be kind to your friends. Like guys love to just talk shit to each other, and it's fun and we do, but like really, we're actually geared more toward like, we have a big sense of humor with each other. We really do. And yeah, sure, we do the guy talk, but like actually more so, we really just like to be really nice. We like to be really positive toward each other and lift each other up.
Yeah.
In the world, I think, is so backwards, and I think we all get stuck in living in that mode where you are getting beat down. You're not hearing you did a good job. No, and you know, sure, there's that mentality of like, you're a big boy, you're an adult, you don't need a pat on the back. Da 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 da. It's not true though. Like everyone's working hard. A lot of people are working hard every day, and it's not weird. It's not weird to like say nice things to people and to actually. We were talking about this. My supervisor, really awesome. Who I love, by the way.
Yeah.
My old supervisor. I love my current one too, but she was always like, "You kiss ass," messing with me. But like, I just really believed in saying positive things. I did, and it's like it was a joke, but like, I believe in that, and I know that's how we're geared, and I know that's not a typical thing, and I know you're geared that way too. I know.
Trying to compliment your way to the top, dude.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
That's where we're at.
Yeah,
brown noser.
So, did you approve that vacation time?
Yeah. I don't want it to take like a controversial spin, but like I think that like in a way, men have been beat down, in society, especially as of late.
Absolutely.
Because we're expected to still do all the things that men are supposed to do, be a provider, protector, whatever it may be, but then we're not able to ask for help, or you're not supposed to get a pat on the back, and it's kind of, it's just a little bit backwards. And if you're able to do that in your circle, like we try to lift each other up, like Kyle was mentioning, then I'm not saying go to every store and start, whatever, but
yeah, there's right.
It's like you don't have to overdo, but carry in somebody's groceries, or I heard a story on a podcast, Ed My Latin. He was like, he was watching this girl at the gym, and she was like in a wheelchair, and she had like the 5-pound weights, and she was trying her hardest, and he's like I might get emotional, but he's like, I couldn't keep my eyes off of her. It's like it was so incredible that she was there with all these other people, and she showed up. And she was trying her best to work out, And he's like, I finally, at the end, I just couldn't take it anymore. I went up to her and I was just like, you're amazing. Like I couldn't keep, couldn't keep my eyes off you. Like it's so incredible that you're here and you're doing this. And I just wanted to tell you that, and you don't have to do it every day, or
it's
force
great
it.
That's said,
It's like
better out than in.
You think that you have those thoughts, and you never know, man. You hold the door, you do the groceries. I know it's corny, but you tell somebody, hey, I'm proud of you, or hey, that's really cool. Even if you don't know them, it can really make a difference in somebody's day.
I do want to just say too, it's nice to be recognized, and an expectation of recognition isn't necessarily a good expectation, right? You shouldn't live for recognition.
Yep.
Right.
A degree of difficulty in life is almost inevitable, but those that have it and can get through it, and then share that story, maybe the recognition is later, is they recognize that was a tough go of it. Those are the most inspirational stories, and those people wouldn't be in that position had they not gone through that difficulty, right?
Yeah, well, I think the world can objectively recognize grit and like determination and positivity, and what's cool about that, and this reminds me of a preacher who preaches the word of God, and he has no arms, no legs, he's literally a torso, and you're like, it's crazy.
It's incredible.
He's not angry at God, and God has given me an opportunity to still use like my breath. He's like, I can talk, It's like, why can't I come in front of thousands of you and talk about, Jesus Christ today and what he's done in my life? And that's a guy who has no arms and legs. I couldn't imagine it. And Chris and I were talking about that. Is like, going through it, it's like Chris is actually someone who's been through a lot in his life. We all have. Everyone goes through it.
Absolutely.
Everyone does. You can't. Everyone has a story. And there's that saying, like, if we all had problems and we put them in a pile, you would immediately take your own problems back.
Yeah.
Because you think,
you might.
Yeah, I think that's a great quote.
It's great.
But I think what's nice is if you just push through without a desire to get recognition, you're just pushing through because it's the right thing to do, and because maybe there's people that count on you, or maybe because you are grateful for what you have. And I really need that reminder right now because I have a lot, but I've been down.
Well, like the situation that he was talking about with like the girl who was handicapped in the gym.
Yeah.
If you like just think about it for like a minute, like as someone who's handicapped and like, she's there doing her thing, how many times like in her like life has she thought about quitting, like going to the gym? Like, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, this is it's an uphill battle. It's difficult. I don't want to do this anymore. And somebody like that guy who eventually said something to her, snaps her out of that and like puts her back to a spot where she needs to be. And it's a complete stranger. Someone she doesn't even know, like her family and
5 seconds
people,
out of your day.
That's all it takes. That's really all it takes. And you don't want to live for recognition, but goddamn it, it is good when you get it.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
when you get it. Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's a thing to work for sure.
It's really good.
And that that's great. And I'm glad you built on that because
People need people to lift them up.
I don't want to say that recognition is a bad thing because
No, don't. It's not
really
you,
great.
you didn't mean to minimize it, but
Yeah.
it's a thing.
Yeah, and
I didn't either. No, people need it,
Yeah,
right?
for
So it's
sure.
like, and when you're doing something with a genuine goal or drive, the world objectively, as much as we're saying the world can beat people down, it will also recognize when people do push, and it will give them their flowers. I mean, the world's not all bad at all.
No, it isn't.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, we get lost. The world gets very lost, and yeah, sure, the world puts people down a lot, but there's also a lot of good out there. And
the perfect spin is on this is social media, because when somebody posts something trying to do something, or they're like at the gym or whatever, right? No, see, I want to make the transition.
You gotta tell that story. What you
No,
told me.
we're transitioning, we're moving, we're grooving. So, somebody tries to do something, like we are. Please comment and like and share on our post. But seriously, like people put themselves out there. Like we kind of let it go. Like we just put it out there. Like whatever. But it's really difficult. And if you see somebody, they have 2 likes on their post or whatever, even just comment, and they're working out or whatever, they're trying to get into shape. Like that's admirable. Like they put themselves out there. And you'll see comments online, and it's like a lot of times I'll go to a really inspirational post, like kind of a video of the story that we referred to with the girl or something like that. And I'll look through the comments and I'll like tear up because there's so much positive reinforcement. I'm like, that's a beautiful thing about social media. But then on a similar post, you can go and just see all these things. Then they make the highlight videos with all the comments, negative comments about somebody.
Oh my
Imagine
gosh.
the person who like has the buck teeth or whatever, who sees all these millions of views on something making fun of that person. Like it gets really, the vitriol, just to get a laugh. It's. Not saying I haven't sent them or been a part of it or whatever, but social media is really tough, but I still think it's important to put yourself out there and really try to focus on the positive comments, because there are people out there supporting you, and what you are doing is important, regardless of how big or small it is. And it's really tough with social media, especially if you get a lot of people on there. You can see some really negative stuff, but we've seen some of it ourselves, right? But you just and it's not easy to see, but you just got to try your best to push forward, because putting yourself out there and dealing with some of that is better than not putting yourself out there at all.
And kudos to those that do. I did want to just say too, like one heartfelt kind act begets another. Dom and I watched Klaus. It's like a Christmas movie. And if you haven't seen it, it's good. And
Did you cry?
I did not cry. But Klaus is it's just the backstory of Santa.
Yeah.
And essentially, this guy went in with bad intentions, but he wanted to he transitioned to a kind heart and ended up giving out a bunch of toys for letters. So one kind act begets another. I believe that, and that was the theme in the movie, because the town started to change that he went to. So he started to,
The movie plot sounds familiar to me, like another Christmas movie.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
seen
sure.
before.
I'm sure there's good jillion
Like the
Christmas
Grinch
parties,
that
but
stole
we forget it
Christmas,
so
too.
often.
It's a web though.
Yeah.
It builds on itself, and when we talk about this stuff in the community, we're going to keep referring to it because it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just wake up one day and put a post on social media and change the world. Some people go viral or whatever, but you can make a change in your community. You can be nice to the people who you see at Cumberland Farms or Dunkin' Donuts or whatever. I mean, it starts there, and somebody, wow, that person held the door for me, or that person's
You like it.
commented
You
on
like
my
their
shirt or
car.
whatever.
Or you like their hat.
Yeah, that. Maybe I should do that to somebody else. And I know, like I said, some of this stuff's corny, but it's important.
I had actually said to Chris that I really like that you I brought you up, and I was like, I like that Ryan says, like, fuck it. Like, who cares? Who cares what people are going to say?
I love it.
It's actually the only way
I
to
always
be.
love that
Yeah,
about
it's
you.
the
It's
best
actually the
love
only way to live.
I love it. I do not care.
It is. It's just that having a friend like that, that will
Not everyone's like you though,
But
Donnie.
No,
I'm not.
I'll tell you.
The thing is,
I'm not.
It's
No,
a 180 though.
more-
Like,
Yeah,
I can learn, man.
I was the exact
Yeah,
opposite.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's why
you don't need to change. You don't need to be different. But
Yeah.
it's like,
No, it's just.
Well, that's your fear with music, Rudy. That's it right there.
Right.
That's exactly
Like-
it right there. So like when you're afraid that when you post your music, people are going to tell you suck.
Yeah.
Your music's bullshit.
Or it's not good enough.
right.
Yeah,
And
it's a hard
uh,
thing to do, but it's just you gotta just embrace it. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm sure, like, well, listen, when this thing gets bigger and we start getting the hate comments, it's gonna be tough on me, believe me. And I used to be
we get the hate comments now, man.
we get some of them. You see them getting shared, but
Subliminally.
I know. I talk shit about you guys all the time to
Yeah,
Kyle.
yeah.
So
I've heard some stuff coming
I don't
around.
even want to go on that show.
There's been some gossip that's come back around to me, but like I said, I love it. People are talking about us. It's cool.
I had to pay him to be here.
But no, Kyle, to your point though, it's the exact opposite of how I used to be. I used to hang on every word that somebody said, and it would have nothing to do with it, and I would just think about it for weeks and days and let it eat me up, and I just, it still comes up at times. It's not like it's cured or anything, but it is what it is, man. Whatever.
I was
man. You know what I
insecure
mean?
as a
Who cares?
teenager too.
Oh, yeah,
man.
man.
Who cares, dude?
But
It's
you
like,
you
whatever.
grow, and
I've never been insecure until recent years, and it's just more so
you're always
like
a very confident cat.
we're objectively, I am very grateful and know that I've done well, but I have grandiose dreams, and I'm getting older, right? We're all getting older, and that's a tough realization, right? I didn't really think about that when I was,
I didn't really
when
really
I
think
was
about that.
delusionally
Just riding on
confident
cloud
and
nine, just
my
puffing the chest out.
yeah. What's up? I'm rude,
Yeah, I'm rude,
What's
baby.
up?
Life's awesome. I'm Rudy,
but
and
yeah.
I'm awesome too.
That's the.
call me rude.
I made it. Speaking of being vulnerable, where I just threw out a post today or whatever about what Blockhead Nation means, and that's exactly what it means. It doesn't matter how old you are, what you've done. Just go out and do the things you wanted to do. We always thought it'd be cool to do a podcast or do something like this, and we're just doing it.
Yeah.
We're punching it, and we're having a blast with it. So whether it's the music or whatever it is, I saw a post the other day. It was like, Bill Gates started when he was 41. This, Warren Buffett started when he was 50. Like, people have done amazing things in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 80s. And it's like, don't wait until that point. It doesn't mean you can't do it then if you're that old, or you can't wait until then if you have stuff going on now. But just try it, because like I said, the fear of regret is 1,000 times worse than the pain of failure.
Absolutely.
Gotta shoot your shot, man.
That's it.
Exactly.
It's really what it is.
Shoot like today, Rudy.
Some people
that's
miss
right.
it.
Shoot, baby.
Yeah.
Some people miss, but it's not the last shot you can take, and that's
Yeah.
one of the things you got to remember when you're doing this kind of stuff.
That's right.
You just can't give up on yourself.
And it's not the last shot you're going to take.
Yeah.
Just
And
know
so many
that.
people, it's like, even like with podcasts, Kill Tony was doing it for 12 years before it got big, and now it's the biggest podcast in the world.
Right.
Rogan
I've
did it
never
for
even
6
heard of
years, and it's not everyone's going to become that, but you got to stay consistent and believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think what we're talking about right here, it's important.
Yeah.
And I stand by it, and I'm proud of it.
Exactly.
And we're going to keep doing it.
And it's helped me too.
Yeah.
you
It's
know.
helped. Yeah, exactly.
It's helped me just, baseline myself, to say, fuck it, let's
That's what
put
you
this
guys-
out. This is as good as it's going to get.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And it's not always perfect, but just you got to put yourself out there. It's very important. Absolutely, because I'm really happy that we're touching on this, because like that's why I made that post early this morning, because it's people always ask like what is the podcast about, and I kind of give like an answer, but it's really about a community of people supporting each other to do the things that they've always wanted to do. And we really, really want to focus on that. And like whether you're a attachment or a part of the community, we want to help you. We want to we're
rooting for you.
Once you do it, once you open that door, once you say something nice to somebody at the gym, once you do something like that, you're part of the community. Yeah. We're taking you in whether you want to be here or not.
You're a blockhead, like it or not. Yeah. You've been building. You're doing something good. No one's excluded.
And to go back to what you said though, Rudy, like even this podcast, if anything, we've said this a million times to each other, it's made me grow as a person, because we're looking at these things introspectively and we're talking about important stuff and we're being vulnerable in the 5 building blocks that we did. And I think it's helped. Even Gina mentioned it. I think it's helped me in my mental health and me as a person. Mm-hmm. And for that alone, to try to work on yourself and dive deeper into these topics that you get caught up in your everyday life. But, we take this respite to relax, talk about some stuff, talk about the world, have some fun, have some laughs. Well, go out and get some beer and pizza after.
Chris has been a loyal viewer.
Oh yeah, I've watched every episode,
which is really great.
That's amazing.
I've actually listened to him more than once. I really enjoyed the Building Blocks series a lot, actually, and how it touched on like certain things that were important for like self-improvement. And I remember when the one came out where you were talking about they called anagrams with the YOPS anagram.
YOPS, yeah.
Yeah.
What was the order? What was the order for those? You
gotta for all the blocks.
Yeah, like YOPS was like YOPS.
Yourself. You have to focus on yourself, and then you have to focus on your others, your team, and then you have to focus on your path. Are you yourself and your team on the right path?
And the last one was surroundings.
Your surroundings.
Surroundings.
Yeah.
So I remember I was talking to you about this when that episode first came out. It's because I enjoyed the YOPS thing that you did, and I was like, well, what made me think about it was like the last one, your surroundings and all the surroundings that you have, and how important your surroundings are to like bettering yourself. So like even like the last step is going to help you with like your first step, and it's like a full circle thing. It was very cool. It was a very cool idea, and I enjoyed those Blockhead series.
YOPS was a good idea.
Thank you.
The Blockhead series, because sometimes we just kind of come on here and talk about whatever, but that was really where we really tried to prepare for the episode, and we had to dig deep into ourselves to really explore those ideas. And that's all it was an exploration.
Did you have a favorite building block?
We didn't figure anything out,
Favorite building block?
Putting you on the spot now.
So there was vulnerability.
Yep.
Gratitude, trust and honesty.
Yeah.
I think vulnerability was mine.
Yeah.
I think vulnerability was my favorite one.
Episode 1, that's the most popular episode. I got the Spotify.
That was my favorite one too.
Yeah, look, because vulnerability is such a difficult thing. It's such a difficult thing for everybody. I mean, it just goes from like kids to adults, older people, grandparents. Like being vulnerable to anybody is a difficult thing to do, and some people just can't do it.
Sure.
And it's like it's a
usually
if you're not vulnerable to someone, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff in your life.
It's a great quote.
And it's almost easier to be vulnerable with that person at the gym.
That is a great quote.
Right?
It's just the way it's going to be. If you're not vulnerable with somebody, you're not going to experience like some of the things that are going to make you the happiest in your life.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
I want to ask Chris, like, what are you doing in your life? I think it's a good.
What am I doing in my life?
We're at a good
place.
Thank you.
Thank
you, my good man.
Well, I mean, I'm focusing on most of the same things that most other people are. Working, trying to be financially stable. But the most important thing that I work on these days is my relationship with my 2 kids when I have them.
You're a good dad. You are.
Yeah, I try to be. I try to be a good dad.
We all do, right?
That's the thing. That's the thing I work on the most. Unfortunately, my kids' mother and I split up, and some time was lost between me and the kids when they were younger. And
we're getting vulnerable.
I'm doing the best thing that I can do to repair any damage that was caused when that happened. So that's what I spend most of my time on. Even when I'm not, even when they're not around, I'm trying to like find out things that are going to strengthen our relationship when they are around. And that's my main goal, is to have a positive relationship with my kids moving forward.
Yeah, and you've been able to consistently make good memories with them. And
absolutely,
you were a great provider. I know you worked hard. You were doing overtime, working in the field, and making a lot of money.
I sure was. Yeah, Chris
made a lot of money. You know, he was always a very family oriented man, saving up for his family, and he had a lot of good exemplary. You set a good example. But yeah, you are a great father.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I mean,
thanks for sharing that, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah, seriously. You have a great career path now.
Yeah.
You shifted gears.
I do.
Talk about what you did before that, though.
Yeah.
You were doing manly, like you were like
so much more manly than us three. It's not even.
Such a man.
I was working for a petroleum company, and
basically, it already just sounds so manly.
Yeah.
Sounds working for a petroleum
gas
company.
and oil, or working with gas and oil.
We got to clip in like
I was working with big machines.
Burly man with a beard.
Chris is looking at me. He's like, Chris is like
right
this.
There.
Yeah. Last time when we tried.
He's like, let me ask you this, little boy. You ever play with Tonka trucks?
I drove the real thing.
Yeah.
And I was good at it too.
Yeah.
I did a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of stuff, work in my life, but I was, we are, as we spoke about, I am getting older, and physical labor and things like that are not on the agenda for me much longer, since I was doing it since I came out of high school. I've done like construction basically most of my life, with a little bit of like retail and residential stuff, like residential care mixed in with that. I've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, working with youth, working with troubled youth.
Yeah. That was actually
youth with challenges, I should say.
Yeah. I was working at Hillcrest Educational for quite some time, probably 8 years or so. That was a very challenging job as well.
That's a very important job.
Field.
So I respect everybody who works in that field, education, especially like, special education or like troubled youth. Yeah, I mean that's a real grind. But it makes talk about making a difference in people's lives.
The most challenging part of that job was dealing with the administration.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah,
unfortunately, but
that is unfortunate. I think that's common.
Yeah,
across public care or even private
public
type of care. Everybody's looking for a buck. Everybody's trying to save a buck.
Yeah, even the nonprofit organizations.
Oh yeah.
Well, no more so. I think they're always trying to save face. Actually, is really
maybe more so the public agencies, right?
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yep.
They want to make sure that when you witness what they're spending it on, it's tax money well spent, right? And we'll see with current administrations and what's going on, but some changes need to be made on the whole. So, we were talking in our first attempt at this, Chris, of you just sort of like building into, what you do today.
Yeah.
Right. So speaking of inspections, the shit show that we experienced a couple of weeks ago, what have you experienced in your job as an inspector?
I was given an opportunity to become a home inspector, which was kind of cool. To transition me out of this physical labor life I was leading.
Yeah.
But all the stuff that I was doing built up to the having a lot of knowledge base and doing this kind of stuff, and I really enjoy home inspecting. Because I actually, in my younger years, I really enjoyed construction and building things and pouring foundations and driving like excavators and doing all this crazy stuff. Challenges are in home inspection. I don't know if there's really too many challenges if you have. It's more
of a cushy job.
Yeah, I mean, compared to what I was doing,
attics and stuff like that, though.
Yeah. I mean, there's the occasional crawl space, attic space, and stuff like that, and some of them are pretty dingy. Crawl spaces can be really bad.
I would get so claustrophobic in some of those.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're doing like an older house when like the crawl spaces are like dirt floors and like stone foundations. It's pretty rough sometimes, but I mean, overall the job's pretty good, and I try to focus more on customer service and those kind of things too, because it's pretty important to get a good relationship with your clients as you're inspecting a home. Because a lot of the times people that are doing home inspections are people that don't know anything about homes.
Yeah.
And
they don't know anything about you.
It's a first time home buyer who is like counting on someone like me to like tell them what they need to do in a place,
or what they might experience down the road.
Yeah,
Very
like
good
these
service.
are the things that you're going to have to
it's
deal with. I'm pretty happy that I've heard that Massachusetts is going to make it mandatory for people when they buy houses to do home inspections.
They got to do it. You got to do it. Every property
fair
I bought
legislation.
has been inspected.
I mean, I feel like a lot of lawsuits and things will happen if people like forego home inspections and like problems occur. But
I'll tell you one thing. Chris did a home inspection for myself and my business partners on a place that we bought, and he did a wonderful job. Very thorough. We got it back within a few days, and we were even able to negotiate some money off of the price because of how good of a job he did.
Yeah.
Not to mention the stellar email that I wrote up.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's very nice of you, bro.
That was fun. That was no, Rob is he was on the podcast too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my partner. Yeah.
Yeah, I had not.
Well, him
I
and his
think
wife.
I think
Yeah.
I think
Gene.
that episode was like not actually out, and then I had met Rob before the episode came out, and then I watched the episode, and I was like, "Hey,
Yeah, it's
I
Rob.
know
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
I met
Pretty
that
cool.
guy.
Yeah, it was a good episode. It's a good
Yeah.
guest.
Yeah, Rob's
Yeah,
funny.
he was cool shit.
But it's like, in what were some of the? I know you said this when we tried to record last time. What are some of the craziest things that you saw as a home inspector throughout the years?
Craziest things that I've seen. I did a basement. It was an older house that had probably 3 inches of mold on all the floor structure underneath.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was to the point where like the mold was actually eating the wood. It was more rot than mold at that point. And I think I went down there and looked around and didn't actually finish doing the inspection in the basement because I didn't feel like it was safe in there.
Yeah, don't.
You just walk down there like, no, just don't buy it.
This
You
is
just
not
buy
gonna
it.
happen. I mean, there's times where I opened up electrical panels and like water will fall out of the panel. Oh man. Water falls out of the panel. You start doing the screws and like water starts dripping out of the panel. I was like, I'm not looking at this any longer.
I don't wanna get
I'm not looking at this any longer.
I remember
it needs to be fixed.
When I was doing real estate,
needs to be replaced.
when I was
Yeah.
doing real estate full time, I remember it would always be like I get so much anxiety, especially when I first started doing it, like in my early 20s, and I was like, I'm riding on everything. I'm like, I need this commission to like pay rent. You know?
Yeah.
And I would always talk to my customers, right? And they're like, "Who's this young guy? I don't know I'm using him. He's an idiot." But I'd be like, "Listen, the home inspection, the entire purpose of the home inspection is to find out what's wrong with the house.
Yes.
Now we got to put this into perspective now.
Yeah.
The house is over 100 years old. There's a lot of things that are wrong with the house. What we're looking for are like latent defects, things that are above a certain amount of money. We know that there's going to be things that come up during this inspection.
Yeah.
Anyway, it would still be a disaster every single time.
Yeah.
But I tried to have the conversation with them. 'Cause I'm like, it's literally their job to find things wrong with the house. Like, you know what I
The
mean?
relationship between like a home inspector and a realtor is pretty like touch and go.
Yeah.
Real estate agents on the selling side don't typically like us.
Yeah.
Well, right, because
We're going to potentially
Yeah, they're like,
cause
they always
them
want to be there.
the sale.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, the ones that have been doing it for a long time who just like understand that there's
Yeah.
going to be problems. Those are the best ones to deal with.
And you got to build it in, right? You got to know how to negotiate. It's like, okay, when the contract's written, there is a home inspection in it. So, let's have a little bit in there. You know what I mean? Like, if we have a little bit extra, like, even as a realtor, we've had to, like, take out some of our commission just to rectify situations to close the deal, which is always the worst. When I was in New York, I saw, like, a $400,000 deal, which was a lot back then. They were talking, like, 10 years ago.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
A pile of wood in the lawn. There's a pile of wood. And
love this
the
delivery.
seller's like, we're not.
Get it
you can
gone.
use it. They're like, we're not. You can use it on like the wood stove or whatever. They're like, we don't want it. They're like, well, we're not going to remove it. Blew up the whole deal.
That's insane, dude. That's crazy.
That's when people are looking for something.
That's some petty
When I
ass
make an
shit.
offer on a house,
That's exactly right, though.
they weren't serious about it. When I make an
that's a good
offer,
Yeah, that's good.
I'm gonna go through as long as there's no pit stops. That offer, that initial offer, is the most important thing, right? Contingencies can be built on top of that, right? I find, and I've done just a few sales, but throwing in a warranty for $400 for washer, dry appliances, like those were like the issues. Throwing that in makes a world of difference.
I like that.
You know, it really comes down to, you know, if that buyer it has full intent, you know, to go through with it, because otherwise they're going to find a reason to get out of
there's
it.
people that go under contract, get the home inspection done, and use the home inspection no matter what to get out of the contract.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or further negotiate, which is very important, and that's just how
further
it should
negotiating is different than just trying to renege on the whole contract.
just get out of it.
I'm sure you've seen this a million times.
Yeah.
I know I have. People will, especially when the market was really hot, they'll put in above unbelievable price, gets accepted right away,
right,
and then they go through the home inspections and try to get it for cheaper than
20,
anybody would have
30,
offered it in the first place. Then
See,
the house goes back on the market.
I don't see a lot of that, but I can expect that.
Yeah, because it gets ridiculous. So it's like, well, yeah, you got a cash offer within 4 hours. It's sight on scene.
Yeah.
Well, you got greedy. You took that offer. It was obviously a bunch of BS. They're going to come in there and pick everything apart and then say, oh, and sometimes they get away with it because they're already in contract and everyone wants to just be done with it.
Right.
But really good point about the warranty. Like when you accept that price or you're in negotiation, be like, okay, listen, we're accepting this price knowing that there's some issues with the house. Let's leave like $5-10 grand on the table, and that's our, you know, if we have to go, if something unforeseen comes up, but let's just, we'll work, you know, if we have 10 grand to work with, we'll throw them 5 or whatever if we have to go to the 10 grand worst case scenario. But let's just plan on that and then just avoid all the stress in the first place.
Yeah, one of the and while we're on tools, negotiating tools, I always try to ask for seller subsidy. So
concessions,
3% to cover closing costs every single time. It doesn't hurt if you're buying a house, if you're buying a property, you know, at a residential level, at a small rental level. Ask for the concession. Ask for that because it saves you on closing. It's gonna free up some money to do. You know, in theory, you're gonna want to get a house that needs a little work in a good neighborhood, right? That's a good investment. So,
We've had some people roll the cost of the home inspection into the closing costs.
Yeah.
Just like that. For that same exact thing. The seller's like, we'll pay for the home inspection.
But
those are the sellers that you really kind of want, really. Because they're like, we're not trying to hide anything. Like
I love sellers when they've had deals fall through and they'll literally send you they have the report from the old people, or they'll sometimes get one themselves and they'll just send it to you and be like, listen, get your own, but have this to cross-reference. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's where it's like, that's where it's good negotiating. Like you want both people to feel like they came out okay,
win-win.
You know what I mean? on top.
Win-win-win.
And it doesn't always work out that way, but you know, I always try to lead with doing the right thing, and we really should just do a full out real estate episode because there's a lot of things I'd like to extrapolate on.
Yeah.
You know, but like one thing that a mentor of mine always told me, Joe Girard, he's awesome. He'd be an amazing guest as well.
Girard's great.
He was like, Ryan, you make your money when you buy. And it's the same with like crypto and stocks and stuff like that too. It's like it's not the negotiation. It's not you're gonna go in there and fix it for cheap and go to Habitat for Humanity and get old cabinets. Like you make your money when you put that deal together in the first place. 90% of the time.
Yep.
And that's anybody who's looking to invest in real estate. Like I know it sounds obvious, but it's just always been in the back of my head.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. I love it, guys. Chris, anything else, bro? Because this was a full episode that was full of like just fantastic stuff, like tips.
That's great.
Tips on home buying, tips on investing, just being vulnerable and just building from where we're at in life. I love it.
Yeah.
I freaking love it.
This is a great session.
Yeah, I liked it. Good times.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'll probably see you guys again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, like
there he is.
I'll come out.
Special guest at the end of the episode.
Little guy. There's Dom. This is Dom. This is Mini Rudy.
You want to sit down? Say hello.
Hello.
So is this episode 13?
Yes.
I've
I
asked
don't know if it's 13 or 14.
It's 13.
No, it's 13.
It's 13.
All right, guys. Again, thank you for listening to the Blockhead Nation podcast, episode 13, part 3 of the friendship series with Chris Dieterich. Dieterich Money Gang.
Dieterich.
But yeah, thank you guys so much. Keep building, baby.
Block by block.
Black by black.
Thank you, Chris.
Say black by black.
Episode
1, 2, 3.
14. This is definitely
Block by
14. It's episode 14. 14. Not 13, 14.